Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Rick Nige. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the 1985 movie Pee-wee's Big Adventure. This video is a way to bring tribute to the man who played Pee-wee, Paul Reubens. He was such an imaginative comedian, such a talented man. I used to watch him growing up. He gave me so much laughter over the years, so much joy, and I want to bring a little bit of that to you, remind you of what I think is his best movie, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. We'll talk about some little known facts you may not have known about the movie. So a couple spoilers here and there. I know the movie is decades old, but still, I will be revealing some plot points. I'm making this video on the day they announced his death, July 31st, 2023. Now, he actually died July 30th yesterday, but for some reason, they took a while to announce it. I don't know what that is. I don't know all the answers. I just want to say that we're going to miss him, and I want to honor him today. Let's get right into it. I'm going to be skipping around for a few moments. If you've seen the movie, then you'll know the scene where Pee-wee saves the animals at the pet shop. It's a pretty funny one. I mean, but the man, Paul Reubens, he wasn't acting when Pee-wee is forced to save the snakes, and he runs out of the pet shop screaming. Why? This is because Paul Reubens is terrified, or he was terrified of snakes. Now, the scene could not be done with fake snakes because they need it to look real. They didn't want it to look like rubber. They wanted real snakes to be crawling all over him, or him to be holding the snakes. So Tim Burton, the director, this is his first directorial debut for a big movie like this. He insisted that Paul Reubens do the scene with real snakes, and Paul Reubens trusted him, and he did the scene. And I think it's amazing to know that his reactions were real with a little bit of acting, but I'd say 90% fear, 10% acting. That's so awesome. Now, you may not have known that Paul Reubens actually wrote the movie Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Yeah, that is true. He wrote it along with Phil Hartman, you know, the Saturday Night Live actor who we all know and love, who also died tragically. And we have Michael Varhol, who also helped write it. Now, they never had written a screenplay prior to this film, so they actually bought a book on how to write screenplays, and they followed the book exactly, line by line. They basically followed it as a formula. So what happened to this movie as a result, it's actually used in screenwriting classes because it fits the paradigm of screenwriting perfectly. The film is actually 90 minutes long. The script is 90 pages long. The first act ends at page 30, the 30-minute mark. The second act ends at page 60, the 60-minute mark, and so on. I think that's pretty awesome. They learned and they try to do it very basically, and now they are the picture-perfect example of what students look at. That's so cool. Now, not only was Pee-wee iconic as a character in this movie, but another character that we may forget of that played a very prominent role was not even alive. Yeah, it's his bike, his bike that he liked so much, right? It was his favorite. Now, there was a bike shop in Newport Beach. It's called Pedal Pusher Bike Shop. Now, they built 10 to 12 bicycles for the movie. So they were all replicas. They all made to look the same, so you could use them for different shots and so forth. And that shop specialized in vintage and classic bicycles and parts. So they were offered, remember, 1985, $10,000 with no screen credit, or just having screen credit only. Now, the shop chose the money rather than the screen credit, and they had an autographed image, 8x10, of Paul Reubens that said, "To Mike at Pedal Pusher, ARG," from Pee-wee Herman. I think that's awesome. What do you think? Did they go the smart way with the $10,000, or should they have gotten screen credit and gotten all this advertising almost forever? I mean, I don't know, maybe that was the better choice, the advertising. What are your thoughts? Now, there's a scene in the beginning of the movie where Paul Reubens as Pee-wee is actually wheeled out of the bike shop on a gurney. Now, the actress that played along with him, Elizabeth Daly, her face went completely white when they filmed the scene. Why? Well, after filming the scene, Paul Reubens asked her what was wrong, why she turned white like that, why she'd react in that way. Now, she was having flashbacks of her boyfriend, John Eric Hexum, being wheeled out of a set on a gurney. And now he accidentally shot himself while filming a movie cover-up in 1984, and seeing Paul Reubens in a similar just situation and experience, it caused flashbacks to that traumatic experience, and no one was a wiser. No one knew about this until it was actually filmed. Now, you may not have known, but the actress who played Elvira, Cassandra Peterson, is actually in this movie. She's playing Biker Mama in this film, and that's not the only way, or the only hidden Easter egg, as they call it, or the hidden secret that she's in this movie. If you look at when Pee-wee goes inside the magic shop, by the front entrance, there's a picture of Elvira. You might catch it, it's really quick, but it alludes to her being in the movie, and I think that's... Now, some of you may know, some of you may not know, that movies are sometimes not shot in order. They're shot out of order depending on location and stuff. It just depends what is more convenient and practical at the time. Well, in the scene where Paul Reubens is returning to the bike shop after his bike was stolen, he was actually very sick from the flu, but he was still filming, and that's where we see Pee-wee when he falls on the bikes. And I don't know, were you aware of this? Did you notice because of his performance, or did it just fly right by you when he did this? One of my favorite scenes of the movie is the end, when they're in the drive-in scene, and then they have everyone from the movie that we saw, that we can remember, pretty much at the drive-in watching a movie within a movie. Now, it's such an iconic scene, and I've never really thought about it, but when I realized where they actually filmed that, I was blown away, because this drive-in sequence was filmed at a studio drive-in that was located in Culver City, California. Now, interesting to note that I, as a little boy, would drive by that all the time, almost every day on the way to my dad's business. My mom would take us when my brother and I were little boys, between the 6th and the 8th grade, and I would see this drive-in closed. It was 1998 at the time, around then, about a decade after this was filmed, none the wiser that this is where they actually shot this movie and all of these scenes. Now, this studio lot was built in the 60s. It was the first drive-in theater constructed in California. Fortunately, it was closed in 93. They demolished it in 98, so maybe I saw it a little before 98. But there's no trace of the drive-ins. There is, well, now they're building new homes there, and that's pretty much what is there currently. Now, another iconic scene when Pee-wee is dancing on top of the bar in those white high-top heels, or those Cuban heels, whatever you want to call them, in the biker bar. He really did hit his head, and so his reaction to hitting his head was real. It was not scripted. I'm not ashamed to say that I was never a fan of Siskel and Ebert. I never agreed with their opinions on what they thought of movies, and sometimes there's things where I had left field. I was a little boy and I used to watch them, and I said, I never agree with these guys. Well, actually, Gene Siskel said that this was the worst movie of '85, and he didn't like it at all. Roger Ebert did not see the movie, said it looked funny, but he didn't really was interested in it as well, which is ironic because today this movie is seen as a comedy cult classic. So many people love it, and it's one of the beloved movies of the 80s. Crazy that it took so much time to become loved. I mean, people liked it back then. It was a hit. It made money, but these two critics didn't like it. And some of you may wonder, well, what did Pee-wee do for a living? Well, there is a theory. It's not official. I like to think it is official, that you know those Rube Goldberg machines? In case you don't know, Rube Goldberg machines are, you know, these crazy machines that you see in the movie and other movies and shows where, you know, you may drop a marble somewhere, it goes on a slide, it hits a book, the book falls down, it hits the cat, it pulls a string, a little car goes by, and then it lights a match or whatever it would be. Well, that Pee-wee makes in the movie, his designs for these Rube Goldberg machines, he would sell them, and then that's how he would make money, which kind of makes sense, and it's kind of cool if you think about it. I mean, that would make him like an engineer. Well, I hope you learned something today. I hope maybe this lets you go back and watch the movie. I'm going to have to watch it again. I watched the other movie. That wasn't too great. The second one, it was all right. The one with the circus and Pee-wee. But I think I'm going to watch Big Adventure very, very soon again because, I don't know, I want to honor him and I want to laugh, and it's such a great movie. Also, Big Holiday on Netflix is amazing if you haven't seen it. Very family friendly, no adult humor at all, and it's just super like old-timey, like pure just comedy and innocence, and I love that as well. Thank you so much for the support. I want to thank Paul Reubens for all he's done. I hope he understands how much we love and miss him. Thanks so much for your support. We'll see you all next time, and don't forget, everyone, be hopeful. Thank you so much to all my supporters, especially my Diamond tier patrons: Jerry D, Citizen Kane 359, Jennifer P, David D, Kevin K, Sally Ann, and Vito L. If you want to be on this list, make sure to check out my Patreon description in the link below. Thank you so much again.